Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nerdy Neighbors. I'm the host that you love 3000, Vince.
And I'm the host you only love a ton, Zach.
This is Nerdy Neighbors. This is a podcast where we talk about pop culture stuff that interests us, waning in and out of modern day zeitgeist. Today will be very zeitgeisty.
Is that blanket spoiler warning?
Which is in effect heavily today.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, by the time this goes out, it'll have been out for 2 weeks.
Vince will take care of you in the title. He always does.
Yeah.
So we start every week with news, and Vince, why don't you rattle off some stuff? I have something I want in 60 minutes.
Sure thing. I gotcha. So I have 3 bits of news over the past 2 weeks that I've felt interested enough that I wanted to talk about. John Cena is joining Fast and Furious 9. I am...
Take my hand.
I'm so happy.
Oh, we're seeing Hobbs and Shaw together.
100%.
Yeah, and then we're going to do a podcast about it, and we're both wearing fedoras.
Done. In addition to that, Polka Dot Man has been added to the Suicide Squad.
Okay, I saw that.
Yep.
Vince, will you fill me in on Polka Dot Man?
I would love nothing more, Zach,
than
to fill you in.
Like I'm a 5-year-old because I don't know this guy at all.
Okay, so the Polka Dot Man that I know of from the comic books, he's a DC villain, obviously. But his whole retinue or his repertoire is that he uses specialty weapons in the form of polka dots. So think of like Green Arrow's punching glove or boxing glove arrow, something similar to that, but like laser beams and like bolos.
So. Like a Roger Rabbit, like remember in Roger Rabbit, there's those tunnels?
Exactly.
So he's got like a bag of...
So kind of, sort of. It's not like that. That's closer to the spot.
Is it magic or is it...
That's a good question. I think it's technology, if I'm not mistaken. It's DC, so they don't...
Who's his guy? What's his CV? Like, who's he go up against?
So he went up against Batman, I believe.
Is he like a stilt man?
He's very much a stilt man.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
So Batman
That's
villain uses
started.
polka dots, as his gimmick. But he got added in to the Suicide Squad. And I am so on board for this movie, man. I'm so on board for it. Polka Dot Man got
me interested.
Yeah. And the last bit of news I got is kind of a downer, but Peter Mayhew passed away. 74.
Yep. We lost another one. And I mean, he was like infamously sweet.
Yeah, he loved being a part of it, and it's wonderful. So
and I have a couple of friends who have met him at conventions and stuff like that, and they were posting pictures and giving like anecdotes. Like every single person I know who had an encounter with him was not just like, oh, he was nice and he was very sweet and he was very engaging, but was like he like talked to me and asked me my name and said my name back to me. Like my friend Chris, if he listens, hey Chris, posted a really nice thing with like this lovely paragraph and stuff. And boy, like Gentle Giant.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen pictures of him when he was young?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He was handsome as hell.
I know.
Which is not to say he was not a good-looking older chap.
Right.
But like in his 30s, he's like a brawny man.
Yeah.
Like he looks like the brawny man. There are a lot of pictures of him in the 70s next to the fellow who plays R2-D2.
Yep.
Because it's like, check it out.
Yeah.
It's the 70s. We're not sensitive to these things yet.
So
it really made me want to watch Force Awakens. Did that happen to you at all?
Not really. I went on a bit of a Star Wars kick a couple of weeks ago, like just watching clips and stuff I found interesting, and there's like a bunch of YouTube channels. It's almost disheartening the amount of information people know about Star Wars. Do you ever get like that?
Yes.
Like where you're just like, I can't talk about this because I'm so out of my depth compared to these people.
It's not just that. You know what else happens to me? Is it's like, and this might be incredibly, like, if not narcissistic, just like a downer, is I watch the movies and I go, man, the extended stuff that has spun out of this, especially the newer movies, dwarfs the movies and what happens in the movies to the extent that I start to question what myth even means to me.
Yep. Yeah, no, I get it. I definitely feel that.
And especially, like, I don't want to get into this conversation, but especially in the post-Disneyfication era that we're living in.
Right.
It really makes me go, like, why does this matter to me? But then I go, I just love it.
Exactly.
A lightsaber's cool.
Yeah. So, rest in peace, Furball. And,
yeah. And laugh it up.
Yeah. And, Zach, you have our final piece of news, which we want to dive into.
So, it's the last season of Game of Thrones, and the last night's episode, if you're listening to this in the future, sorry.
It's episode 4.
Last night's episode was episode 4, and I have to get this off my chest, and I have to do it with you. People are saying it was the worst episode of the season. Now, I don't feel that strongly, although there was a coffee mug.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That Starbucks cup.
Excuse me, a coffee Starbucks cup. But there's definitely a lot of conflict, and there are some, I hate to say, nitpicky logic issues I am beginning to have.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Now, I've had to shrug off a lot of criticisms of people going, I don't understand how just saying Dracarys sets things on fire, and all these type of logic things, and I go, it's just a blah, blah, blah. But
I don't think that's how that works.
And for the sake of time, I'm going to narrow this down to 3 things that this BuzzFeed article goes into of why this might have been the worst episode of the final season.
Hit me.
Okay. So, here's where I'll start, but not to pick on you.
Sure.
But because I'm genuinely feeling this way.
Yeah, definitely. I also, my opinions of this episode, I did think it was a weaker episode. I don't know if it was the worst episode of Game of Thrones. I don't know if I'm in there. I mean, if you're talking about in this season, sure. By a landslide, it's the worst episode. But, I mean, it's a 6-episode season. Yeah. I'm not terrified of that.
What happened in this episode?
Yeah, exactly.
Should we, just to be, energy positive, should we list some cool things before I start nitpicking?
Let's do the compliment sandwich. Let's
okay.
Let's talk about a thing we liked, and then we'll go into a nitpick. So go ahead, start us off.
He's Grendy Baratheon.
Oh my goodness.
Lord of Storm's End.
Oh, Gendry, he's a lord, and he gets his last name. It's wonderful. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all wanted it.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah. Everybody. No, go ahead. Give us our first nitpick, and then we'll go after.
So the Dany Mad Queen thing is starting to feel a little forced. A little.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I'm going to tie to this other thing that the article goes into, which is Sansa is acting so Cersei / Littlefinger, which in a sense makes sense. But then there's part of me that's going, well, now we're just, the reciprocal nature of the show, not reciprocal, the cyclical.
Yes.
The nature of the show is starting to...
It's an Ouroboros. It's eating its own tail.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and to the point that it's well, now if no one's growing, this isn't interesting.
Well, okay. So I've read this list that you're reading off of, and that's actually a point that I kind of disagree with. I think that Sansa becoming more like Cersei and like Littlefinger, I think that's more of a declaration that good people don't last long in Westeros.
I agree.
So her, spreading information about and seeding dissent while also trying to manage her troops and look out what's good for her people, that's still that's chaotic good.
Yes, but here's the thing that I find so glaring and so distracting is the long night. Sansa is smart enough, you would think, to recognize the massive sacrifice that Daenerys made. That's the thing, that's the logic thing that I find so glaring.
Right.
Is it was a bad night. And I know she wasn't present for all of it, but the mistrust that she has, especially post the long night. And again, I really don't want to just sound like a fan who's why doesn't everybody get along?
Yeah.
I truly don't understand
why don't you be friends?
Why someone after that much support and that much sacrifice is still so distrustful. And I mean, I don't know, I'm just not thinking
so my argument against that would be that she did trust Littlefinger, and Littlefinger turned on her. She's grown that one good deed does not a good person make.
Right.
And as far as she knows, this is a foreign leader coming into her kingdom, taking over, and who could be manipulating her brother.
It's an excellent
as far
point.
as she knows.
And also, what I'm now thinking is, Sansa's experience with the dead was limited. She did come out of it so unscathed and having to just experience kind of like, the crypt.
Yeah. I'm going to give a compliment.
So,
to this episode.
Go ahead.
Tormund Giantsbane, in general, is wonderful.
So here's the second thing I want to get into.
Sure.
Because, I don't want to obsess over this too much. And we're probably going to have a wrap-up show when it ends.
100%.
It's a decade-long series that a lot of nerds watched. So here's where I'll end. Is Rhaegar's death... Rhaegar's death is... I'm quoting the article. Rhaegal's death was purely for shock value and made no sense. I sort of agree with this. Now, this is the most nitpicky part of the article. And at first when I read it, I was like, oh, come on, sure. They got caught in the air. She didn't see some ships.
Right.
It does sort of...
I 100% agree with this. I think that Rhaegal's...
This is a sabacc, right?
It's less of a sabacc because I'm on board with it. I get why it happened, and I also get why people don't like it, and I personally am not a fan of it.
Right.
I don't like the fact that they killed Rhaegal just to kill him. That entire interaction between Euron's fleet as well as...
the dragons?
Yeah, against Dany's fleet. I didn't like that interaction because it all felt very quick. It all felt last season when Gendry was went from beyond the wall to Winterfell in a day.
This is another thing this article pointed out was that battle happens off screen and John's
interaction with Sansa and Arya where he tells them his true lineage
happens off screen.
Yeah.
So we don't even see their reactions.
I agree. And that's one other thing
that's a directional thing. I'm more talking about the writing.
Right. Yeah, but even then, talking about the writing, I would have been a bigger fan of Rhaegal dying in the Battle of Winterfell.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see him live. I thought he was dead until this episode.
Me too.
So the fact that they I don't want to say brought him back because he never really died, but he could have, and it would have had the same.
Kept him around.
Yeah, it would have been the same impact if he hadn't. There's no way that Dany wasn't going to go all out on Cersei anyway. Everybody already hates Cersei. We're not getting anything by Cersei killing Rhaegal. And if you want to do...
Well, it's another cheap chip to make her the Mad Queen.
Yeah, I'm kind of hesitant about that. Story-wise, though. She's Mad Queen already. That... Daenerys, yeah. I
don't think so.
I really do. After that interaction that she had with Jon, where she told him, do not tell your family. There's one way this works, and it's the way I just went over.
Well, where do
Don't
you
do
land
it.
on that?
What do you mean?
Where do you land on that logic?
I think that the only way two people can keep a secret if one of them's in the ground.
Oh, I disagree.
That's fine. And
I'm with Dany on this one, but not to the point that I'm mad at Jon.
That we're on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah. That he shouldn't have told.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. If you want Dany to not be the bad guy at the end, Jon doesn't talk. Jon does talk, Dany bad guy at the end.
Yeah.
But getting back to Rhaegal's death, I don't feel like that was necessarily important, and I don't know if I would have had Euron be on the fleet. I'm fine with them kidnapping Missandei, because it's going to further the story. That's going to give Dany that even more fire to go after Cersei.
Right.
That's fine. The fact that Rhaegal had to die and Missandei died, it just seemed like it seemed like incompetence on Dany's part almost.
Well, it's also from a writing standpoint, it's gilding the lily.
I agree.
And it's not just and I mean I might be too close to it actually, because I might still I really was enjoying Grey Worm and Missandei's story.
Same. Oh my goodness. I just wanted to happily live ever after for my little gray boy.
I really didn't think I just, and I mean, the show does that. It subverts stuff and your expectations and stuff. But there was...
I mean, that should be the subtitle of this show.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones expectation subversion.
And it's not that there was almost something more grotesque and less appealing about this than the Red Wedding, which was incredibly grotesque and unappealing.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, but like there was just like, and brother, like especially post Rhaegal's death, which like you're so right.
Yeah,
you could have done one or the other, and you could have spent that chip.
Also, I feel like it was a real missed opportunity. If at the end of episode 6, Dany doesn't turn, then I'll have yolk on my face. But if she does turn, I feel like it was kind of a missed opportunity to have her just go after the Iron Fleet and utter the famous words, burn them all.
Yeah.
Like, I feel as though that's the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
And that also lends credence to Tyrion and Varys having their conversation.
Whoa.
Like, they don't have to hear it, but they can just see her wiping out an entire
Varys
fleet.
is so gonna get caught. He's incurring so much.
Oh, yeah. He's raking up debt.
Oh, yeah.
His butt is right in them checks.
Yeah, but I can't say I disagree with him. But at the same time, I also sort of agree with Tyrion.
Let's give a compliment.
The compliment is those Tyrion and Varys scenes were really good.
Really good.
Well written, well performed.
And each character is playing, or each actor is playing their character to perfection. Varys has always been for the realm, and Tyrion just wants to be right once.
And this might grate against some people, but I'm going to say it. It makes me go, I understand why you would eliminate the Night King because he can't play the game, and that's what this show is about.
Yeah.
And it's about scenes like this. It's
exactly.
about the hand and the spider talking about what is happening in the world.
Yeah.
It's compelling as hell.
Yeah, if anybody expected to see the Night King on the throne, I don't really know what to tell you.
It's not that I thought that was going to happen. I thought that...
Well, that's been a prevailing theory online before episode 3.
I'm pretty sure I said it on mic. I thought he was going to mostly conquer the country, and then last minute... there was going to be like a Helm's Deep moment.
Right.
Like, you know, we were going to be holed up behind some wall, and then there was going to be some kind of cavalry when he counted.
Yeah.
You know, I actually thought the dragons would have been dead. I thought this series was building to a thing of like, magic can't really exist in the world. We have to deal with each other, and we have to grow and progress if we're going to flourish.
Right.
That's not what's happening at all.
I agree.
I just read it.
Let's get into your last nitpick.
That was it. No.
Oh,
I was going to round it up there.
Okay.
Let's both say one nice thing, and we'll wrap it up and move into our main thing.
Sure thing.
My last nice thing was, like you already said it, but I really loved after Tormund clearly got dismissed.
Yes.
By Brienne, he went to go cry to Clegane. He's got tears in his eyes.
So good. I guess we'll end on pumpkin spice is coming.
All right, so what are we talking about this week?
Zach, we're going to talk about Tootsie this week.
Was that... Hold on. Did Christopher Walken just walk in here and say, Zach? What was that? You just walked.
Listen, man, this podcast was made for walking. And that's just what I'll do. Zach, we're not talking about Tootsie this week.
No.
We are talking about Avengers Endgame. The culmination of 11 years of the only movies that people see in movie theaters.
I know that's the only ones I see.
Yeah.
All right, so we both saw it. I
mean,
for me,
do you want to just hit overall feelings first, and then we'll dive in?
Yeah, for me it was a week ago. I wish I had seen it a second time before now, because it feels a little fuzzy. My overall feelings were, I was incredibly satisfied. It was very rewarding for me.
100%.
I'm going to sum it up as concisely as possible.
Yeah. So I saw this movie in probably not the best conditions. I saw it in a packed movie theater in Philadelphia Mills Mall. Yep.
Oh, why would you do that?
Because it was the earliest opening that I could meet, and I wanted to see this movie. There were 2 gentlemen behind me that were inaccurately giving commentary for the majority of it. But I would not have traded my experience for the world.
Okay, I want to pause you right there and make clear to the listening audience.
Yes.
Without giving out too many details of where we live.
Sure.
Approximately how far are we from our nearest movie theater?
We are, I would say, 2 big steps
Yeah.
away from our closest movie theater.
So if you were to get in your car...
That's not the one I went to.
Okay, if you were to get in your car and drive to the theater, would it take you longer than 10 minutes?
No.
No?
No, it would not.
Okay, please move on with your story. So, but where you went was Philadelphia Mills.
Yes.
Which, if you don't live around here...
If you don't live around here, you're not going to get the joke. But if you live around here, if the name Philadelphia Mills means anything to you, you instantly know what my experience was. But, like I said, I would not have traded my experience for the world.
Your eyes roll back in your head every time you say that, like jaws biting into...
Yeah. Yeah, it was rough. But seeing this movie in a theater crammed with people who, as soon as something dope happened, freaked the fuck out.
Expressive, ladies and gentlemen.
It was so amazing. There was a there was a woman who was seated next to me who brought along her children, or children that were about.
Yeah.
And at 3 different moments, there were about 3 minutes of unimpeded, "Oh, stop playing! Oh, stop playing!" And it was amazing. It made the movie 10 times better.
So
I love the movie. I have very few ill things to say about this movie. Potentially none, honestly, because my heart just harkens back to all of the dope times. But
well, for me, I went to the theater that was very close to us. I sat next to a little girl and her father, which every time I would, we live, the movie theater we live by, you can get like a beer or a cocktail or whatever, but it's like 1,000 armor.
1,000 armor. Yep.
It's 1,000 armors.
Hit up Gendry. He'll hook
nobody
you up.
has that in their wallet. So I bring a flask, and every time I reach for my flask, she stared at me like.
He brought outside food and drank it!
I don't even know if it was that as much as she was like, what is that noise? But outside of that, and this tiny woman's judgmental and accusatory stares, and I don't care that she was 9. It was...
a modern-day Lyanna Stark.
It was...
Mormont. So close.
Fake nerd!
That's me. Bang, 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 I'm a poser. I'll see myself out.
I was so, it was emotional. It was so, like, the Hawkeye thing not got spoiled for me per se, but, like, we all knew it, right?
Yeah. There's one way he ends up with that terrible haircut.
Yeah. Wasn't the biggest fan of that Ronin costume.
Honestly, the only part that I had a problem with was the sleeve tattoo.
I don't like the hood.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you feel about Red Hood's new outfit?
Have
you seen Red Hood's new getup?
That plays in the comic better than we're just... I'm fine with it.
Yeah, no, I see that.
Yeah,
I can buy that.
I like his helmet and leather jacket better.
But the odds, like, the only weird thing, like, this is...
Not to digress on Red Hood.
Yeah, that's fine.
Where do you land on that? Do you like the red and the jacket, the helmet and the jacket better, or do you like this hoodie and the mask?
I like the new look.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, actually. Yeah. I'm very partial to, like, old samurai and that kind of, like...
Yeah.
That half mask with the hood up. That hits all my boxes.
I'm a big fan of indie movies.
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
Like
Avengers Endgame?
No.
Small little indie flick.
No. The indie movies I like are like Temple of Doom. I like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You're such an asshole. All right, let's talk about the actual movie.
You walked right into that.
I really did. Don't know what I was thinking.
And you should start being able to identify that smile on my face.
Yeah, really. I'm going to call it the Tootsie smile from now on.
I really liked the concept of... I have a Zach Spotted. You know that's a Russo brother who's traumatized and talking about his date, right?
Yep.
Joe Russo.
Yeah.
Okay. That's barely a Zach Spotted then. So, I really liked Black Widow.
Scarlett
like
Johansson.
Running. Yeah, that's what throws me off.
Yeah, I get you.
Like running.
Running Shield, or Shield, quote unquote.
Avengers or whatever.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
That concept is dope to me. That, like, in this traumatic 5 years, she just went to work.
Can't wait to see more of it.
Not the biggest fan of that blonde red hair thing.
I kind of felt like it was just that she dyed her hair red a while ago and just kind of let it wash out.
Oh, see, we gotta watch it again.
Yeah.
That really was like just where everyone was at in that 5 years. That check-in was swell to me, especially as a person who loves like those kind of like in Marvel they don't call it Elseworlds, but like those Elseworld stories of Marvel. Of like, what if the M Day?
I got you. Yeah, the multiverse stuff.
Yeah. I really love
stuff happening elsewhere.
Everything went to shit, and some people went to work. Cap became like a group therapist guy. He's basically doing what we found Falcon doing. Yeah. Like, when he meets Sam.
So I actually think that's what makes him worthy, is that he stopped doing things for himself. Mm-hmm. Because I've always felt like that was kind of a big part of Captain America's character, is that, he's working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and he's taking down terrorists or whatever, but he's always doing it for himself. So the thing that makes him worthy, spoiler alert, to hold Thor's hammer, is that he has sort of just relinquished that control.
What was your theater like when that happened? I can't imagine.
Stop playing! Stop playing!
The theater must have exploded. Mine did.
Oh my goodness.
We had some stuff. There were some teens in the middle that were very excited and chewing popcorn very loudly. So that stuff was really cool to me. The worthy thing I want to talk about real quick.
Well, here we're bouncing around a lot. So do you want to try and go like in order of the movie, or do you just want to keep on bouncing around? Okay, that's fine by me.
The worthy thing I think is interesting especially because Thor says, "I knew it." And my brother, I don't want to speak for Adam, but if Adam was here, I bet you he could cooperate. Adam and I have both thought since Ultron,
since the budge
has been like, "Oh, I can." If he sees me do this, it's gonna freak him the fuck out. I better just.
You think the entire time?
Yes.
I could vibe with that. Yeah, I dig that a lot.
I think shit hit the fan, and I mean, like before in Infinity War, he didn't have Mjolnir.
Right. It was always Stormbreaker.
Yeah. That's the first battle that Mjolnir's been on the battlegrounds, and Thanos has been there. I don't know.
No, I dig it. I dig it a lot.
I can see Steve tactically being like, "This is like a party joke," and if I lift like.
Did your soul go aflutter when they did the A-Force, the all-female?
Yeah. Oh, and then I read an article that has completely stolen that from me. And the theme of the article was basically that's too little, too late, and it really made me overthink it. And now I loved it when it happened. I teared up. I was like, hell yeah! And then I read this article that completely stole the magic from me, and now I'm like, it really got in my head.
That's why you shouldn't read, kids.
It got in my head, and I think the person who wrote it might be right. But it was like, I was so surprised, Vince, that Valkyrie was in the mix. Pleasantly. Okay.
Gotcha.
Pleasantly. I was like, hell yeah.
Honestly, the one that kind of like freaked me out was Pepper as Rescue. Like, I did not expect her to be there.
Yeah, part of me was like,
I'm fine with it.
I was like,
I mean, they're never going to do...
It's Chekhov's Iron Man suit. We saw the blue helmet.
Yeah. So... I don't know. They're never going to do Riri Williams, so, like, I think that might be the closest that we get to a female Iron Woman.
We got a multiverse, baby.
Ironheart. You're correct. Yeah. And we got a What If.
So, how about... hey man, so Loki's back in the mix.
Yeah, he is. Also, just in time for his own series.
It's also a Loki who is not grown at all.
Nope. Absolutely not. Oh my goodness.
That was wonderful to me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't expect him to be like he was in Avengers for too long. I think that'll get shooed away pretty quickly.
I have zero expectations. It's curious to me. I know for a while, not to get too sausage is made stuff, but like I know for a while Chris Hemsworth couldn't wait to not be Thor, and then after Ragnarok, he's like, now this guy's interesting, and I'm about to not play him. And like the fact that he's like on the, is it still called the Milano?
Yeah. No. They replaced the Milano.
The fact that he's with the
Guardians. As Guardians of the Galaxy, man.
Yeah.
He's definitely showing up in Guardians 3.
It just makes me think, like, oh, man, we're going to get some more Hemsworth. Like,
heck yes,
yeah. Like, I'm ready for it.
Thomas Middleton, he has such good comedic timing as well.
Who?
The Thomas Middleton? The Loki? Tom Hiddleston? Isn't that him? Tom Hiddleston? Hiddleston, not Middleton.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of
Middleditch.
Middleditch, yeah. Silicon Valley. Yeah. So he has such good comedic timing. Like I
love that man.
Yeah. Everything about like when in Ragnarok, I've been falling for 30 minutes. So good.
There's other like really subtle stuff. Like in a lot of people don't like the second Thor movie, Dark World. Thor the Dark World. They go through this portal that only he knows through, and the second they get through, he goes, ta-da!
So good! Oh my goodness.
But I'm like that whole comedy of errors.
Yeah.
That they go on and was really enjoyable for me because I didn't expect it to be so like it truly is goofy.
How'd you feel about Fat Thor? Chonky Thor.
So on board.
Same. Yeah. I loved when he called down the lightning and his hair got braided.
Yeah.
So good. He's ready for a fight.
And threatening Fortnite people.
Yeah.
A little cord cameo. What's up, boys? It's big in the fridge.
So good. Oh, man. You totally buy Frost's Pizza in. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
With that belly?
Oh, yeah.
That's the perfect way to play a depressed Thor.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, you turn him into Volstagg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good.
He just sits there drinking beer and thinking about old, like, just the glory days, and it's lovely. That's what I mean. Like, the 5 years later and they lost stuff is so compelling.
Yeah, I agree. And them dealing with loss is very interesting.
It's a ballsy move, and I'm fine with, like, there are some hanging threads, and I guarantee you the more I watch the movie, the more I'll go, what about this, and what about that, and what about this?
Right.
But I actually think, like, it's just, like, as a phenomenon, which this is.
100%.
It was so well done.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Kind of exquisite.
Professor Hulk. Hulk dabs.
Yeah. Well, that was charming.
It was. Yeah. I really like Professor Hulk because I think we'll never get another Incredible Hulk movie. So
that broke my heart. You're so right.
Well, I mean, we won't because Universal still owns the rights to the next solo Hulk movie. But I do think that we will be getting team up movies. I think that's what's in the future for Marvel. So a lot more stuff like Ragnarok, like
I like that they're being cagey about Phase 4.
Same. I really like that they're holding it close to the chest. But I so desperately want to see Ant-Man and Professor Hulk just palling around doing weird shit.
Do you remember the Incredible Hulk movie and how they kind of teased the leader?
Yeah, at the end.
I can't remember that actor's name, but I was really excited to see that because I enjoy that actor. He's in Oh Brother Where Art Thou. He's like a character actor. He mostly plays Southern gentlemen. Yeah.
He's in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yes. Yeah. It's just about to say, yeah. I was really looking forward to that. I love a good character actor. Like,
same.
I put that guy in like Buscemi level. Like that guy makes choices that are rewarding.
Yeah. He's a daring actor.
I feel like I've been leading this conversation. How'd you feel about the Howard Stark scene?
Okay, so
because me and you both famously have daddy issues.
Yeah, as a guy with weird daddy issues, that hit me so hard. Oh my god! All the money in the world couldn't buy a minute of time. Oh, Tony, stop!
So.
Oh boy.
Quick tangent. Stop me if you need to, but it's our podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
This sent me down a hole. I have watched every Iron Man movie, Captain America: Civil War. I've watched everything with premier Tony Stark stuff.
Yeah.
I just can't stop. Won't stop. And so I was watching Iron Man 1. This is my tangent.
No breaks
I'm
on
glad
the
I honed in on this. I was watching Iron Man 1, and in the beginning of Iron Man 1, there's a montage to kind of set the world up of like who Howard Stark is, his legacy, and who Tony Stark is.
Yeah. And that's when they're flipping through the magazines,
precisely,
right?
My friend. And that
real nerd status reestablished.
Hey-o! That is the only scene in MCU history where John Slattery is not playing Howard Stark. So I'm watching it, and I know that later on they're going to like lock in Howard Stark, an older and younger Howard Stark.
Right.
So I see the magazine clippings and alone in my living room. I go, uh-oh. And then Buddy...
You're not my real dad!
And then Buddy, right when those magazine clippings stop, first shot of the movie is not Don Cheadle.
Oh, Terrence Howard, yeah.
And I went, uh-oh.
That aged well.
And it made me think, well, not so much aged well, not at all. It made me think how neat those movies are. And another reason why they're good is, and I mean, not to cast aspersions, no one can be further from Hollywood than the two of us. But like, you hear things and stuff like that. And
physically, this podcast is being recorded on Saturn.
One of the rings. They don't work with people who aren't fun to work with.
Yeah, no.
It's why you never hear about Liv Tyler again.
If you're a downer, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't bring Natalie Portman back.
Mm-mm.
Like, yeah, if you're not...
She's tough to work with.
Yeah, if you're not on board.
Yeah.
That's also a reason why Ed Norton's not back.
Yeah.
Like, famously difficult to work with.
He puts in his contracts that he gets last...
Yeah, he gets editing rights.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, final say on the final cut, which is... I mean, it's led to a bunch of great stuff. I don't know if I've seen a bad Ed Norton movie, but...
There's one where he plays twins. One of his latter works where he plays his own twins.
Ooh.
And one of them is growing weed. Very bad. Terrible southern accent. This weird attempt at a tour de force. And it feels very much like he was making...
I will stand by the fact that I have not seen a bad Edward Norton movie.
I took us down a weird tangent. Let's get back to Endgame.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. How did you feel about Thanos' first death?
I'm telling you, in this, it really worked for me, man. It really worked for me in this, like, yeah, no, you lost. He had this
clandestine plan.
And it was well thought out, and he was powerful enough to do it.
It's not clandestine. That's not the word I was thinking.
No, it was complicated.
Yes.
Complex.
Yes.
There's a lot of moving
massive
parts. Yeah. And it was sort of clandestine because, man, like, no one really knew what he was doing until it was too late.
Yeah.
By the time the Avengers even had, like, a whiff of what the guy's name was, he already had 2 gems.
Yeah. Well, how are you going to stop that?
And that was because a dying Asgardian chucked a Hulk at Earth. Like, you know, we barely found out.
Yeah.
Which, again, beautifully set up.
Oh, you want to talk about some unsung heroes? How about the only reason everything worked out, the rat that releases Ant-Man?
I told you on pod he was going to get himself out of there, and I was half right.
Half right. Ant-Man, rat.
Do you know that is Judd Apatow's older daughter playing...
Oh, really? Cassie?
Yes. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if she'll continue on.
I think that's
I would really like to see like a young Avengers.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. I thought from the moment in Ant-Man 1, young Cassie was like, I want to help you. I want to blah, blah, blah. Like, man, they're setting up a Cassie. I mean, you know, I could be wrong. I've been wrong in this podcast many times.
What?
Mostly about Game of Thrones, frankly. But how'd you feel about Nebula's arc?
I love Nebula's arc.
It might be the best one in the movie, right?
Well, okay, if you're talking about in movie, sure.
In the film.
Yeah, in the film.
Overall, I mean...
It goes to Tony.
And then
Cap. Yeah. But yeah, in this movie, this was definitely Nebula's movie. Like, she had a part in every major action beat that moved the story forward.
When you watch Guardians, and, like, she's, like, a B villain?
Yeah.
Maybe it's... Like, no, she's a B. The C guy is the... I can't remember his name. That Kree gentleman who's all cybernetic-y.
Who?
Yeah. It's really good, man.
Gotcha, buddy.
But who would have thought that she would, you know, like, really shape the end of this series?
Yeah.
And really, like, such a rewarding arc of a person who, like, it's so comic booky, Vince, to have this person continue to grow and continue to, like, not just grow because, like, oh, she's a good person, learn about herself.
Yep.
And affect change in her own life. And I mean, I don't care who you are. Like, the idea of, like, shooting your younger self is, like,
tough.
It's not just tough. There are so many crazy implications. And, like, I think the only reason it really works logic-wise is that she was threatening her sister.
Yeah, I agree.
And she didn't want to lose Gamora again.
I just wanted a sister. That's from the horse's mouth. Like, she wants to be a part of a family, even one as twisted as the one that she's a part of. And the fact that she goes after it is wonderful.
That story worked for me so much, and it was one of those things that I really think, direction-wise, editing-wise, it flowed beautifully.
Have you seen Nandavi Movie's video on Endgame?
No.
You should check it out.
Will I feel differently?
No. It'll solidify Nebula in your head.
Because I also, honestly, like, when Thanos showed up and he was wearing golden with his purple skin, I was like, yes, Endgame.
Yeah.
Yes, Endgame.
Just give me a copter with Thanos on the side of it, buddy. That's all I need.
Hell yes. What was the most? It's so hard to quantify, and we've both only seen it once. Right. But probably the most rewarding part was Tony's I am Iron Man. I'm getting choked up.
Yeah.
And it was, I knew what he was going to say.
Well, it came directly after the I am inevitable.
Yeah.
Like, there's only one retort to that.
Yeah.
Sure, you can be as inevitable as you want.
I'm going to start crying, dude. Don't start. I
won't.
Start crying
I won't.
But, like, it was as much as I knew it was going to happen, I wanted it to so bad.
Yep.
And I really, 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 as you can see in my face, started weeping.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Next to that 9-year-old girl who's judging me for drinking by myself. Just, like, hands over my, like...
Yep. No, I 100% get it. Yeah, that's, like... I have two gripes with this movie. Hawkeye sat down in a tattoo parlor for, like... What is that, 18 hours to get a full sleeve Ronin tattoo? And the other issue I have with the movie is that after Tony snaps, Spider-Man hugs him and Pepper has to pull him off. But, like, that's his wife, dude. Like, why don't you let her get in there?
Well, he's a 16-year-old kid with daddy issues, so I get it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. But, like, you know, maybe Pepper wants to get in on that last breath hug action.
That's a conversation for the end. I'll save those thoughts for the end.
Sure.
So, Sam saying on your left really landed for me. And I just watched. So I just like I told you, I just watched my tour de force of Tony Stark things, and a couple of things I pulled from that is when they're arguing in Avengers. This is not related to Sam, but I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you from Mordor to the fucking Shire, baby. When he's arguing with Cap about the Ultron thing, and he's like, they're arguing about the methodology and the idea of Ultron,
right?
And Tony is trying to explain to him that there are huge guns out there that we don't understand, and we have to start preparing for them.
Right.
And one of the lines is, he says, pointing to space, he said, "Up there, that's the end game." And I went, oh.
Yeah, man.
That is cool, Vince.
That is very cool.
That is so cool. You could logic check me on that.
No, 100%.
I almost recorded it and sent it to you. But getting back to the Sam and Cap, like, as much as I love a Bucky Cap relationship, I find it so appropriate for the films that Cap's first indication that things are okay is Sam is here. Yep. Saying on your left. Because we all know that's how the relationship starts. But what we always forget is the end of that film, Cap gets his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Bucky almost kills him. And, Steve talks Bucky off the ledge.
Yeah. And
gets him to start remembering. At least start realizing that he's not just a weapon. And Bucky ends up saving Steve, and he's in the hospital at the end of that film. And he wakes up, and Marvin Gaye is playing on an iPod.
Yeah,
he sees Sam to his right, and Cap says, "On your left," which is such a wonderful bro moment. It's such a, like, they're partners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're in it.
Yeah. Because he wakes up and he sees this guy. This guy probably hasn't left.
No.
He's just been at the hospital
exactly
waiting for his partner to get better.
Yeah, and he's playing the album that he told him to listen to. Like,
so
it's
Steve
just
is
so
like,
good.
hey, man, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm awake now. And so, like, this idea of Sam going, hey, man, I'm awake now, on your left.
Yeah.
It works
It
for
works
me,
so
man.
well.
I
get that. I definitely feel
that.
that.
Worked. That line worked for me more than those portals opening up, and it has Guardians and Wakandans and S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and as cool as all that was, on your left.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's such a, like, because we're both writer nerds, so, like, it's so funny that, like, on this podcast, we're just talking about the script.
Yeah,
really. And performance, because they're such good performance pieces. They really are.
I agree.
Oh, that reminds me, I did bonus homework.
Okay.
Remind me.
Yeah, sure thing.
Speaking of performance.
No worries. I mean, is there anything else major that you wanted to talk about?
Major, no.
Okay.
And I feel like, as always, I talked too much.
I gotcha. Well, I mean, we can talk about how Cap got his happy ending. He's got his dance, which I thought was wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, just super pleasant and really good. Tony's funeral, again.
That was so hard on me.
Oh my goodness. When Happy sat down next to Morgan, it was just like, do you want anything? I want a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And it's the first thing Tony asked for when he got back.
Oh, I know. I just watched Iron Man.
Yeah. So, like, it's just...
And he shuts Pepper up and he says, I want an American cheeseburger.
Yep.
And you need to talk to the press.
It's so good. All right. So we have one thing that's tangentially related to Avengers, and that is the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer.
It dropped today properly.
Yes.
This film is it's an epilogue, like I predicted, to Endgame. Spider-Man is very much in the MCU Iron Man's protege.
Yeah.
His ward.
Yeah. Somebody needs to be the next Iron Man. So in the trailer, we learn a bunch of things. So we have Peter, who isn't ready, but needs to be ready in his own mind to take over that mantle. We're introduced to the concept of multiverses, with Nick Fury saying he's from Earth.
You here?
Sure.
I want to talk about this.
Yeah, 100%.
We were texting about this earlier.
Yep.
And I want you to... Okay. You and I smell something a little fishy.
Yes.
So, I'm going to expand on that. For me, it's a little fishy to tag that in a commercial.
Right. Okay.
And neither of us trust Mysterio.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we know the character.
So where do you land on that? Why is it fishy to you? Because for me, it's like, oh, I don't trust Mysterio, but also like, it's such a simple thing to explain. It feels too obvious to give us that in a trailer.
Well, okay. So my thought.
Is that dumb?
No. I see where you're coming from. My thought process is I do believe that Mysterio is from another reality. I think that he is. I think that he came over. I think that Nick Fury and Maria Hill and whatever remnants of S.H.I.E.L.D. are left, I think that they did testing, whatever. They found out multiverse is real. Our Mysterio is a doofus. Like, he's an actor. He's a petty criminal.
Special effects guy, yeah.
But this guy is from a different world where maybe he's a hero. Maybe he's the Iron Man that we're looking for. And I think that while we both believe Mysterio is going to be the villain of Far From Home, I think that he is not one to pass up a free meal. Like,
I think you're right.
You guys think I'm a good guy? Sure, I'll be a quote-unquote good guy.
Yeah, I'm subscribing to this theory.
Yeah, okay. That's definitely what I'm feeling.
I thought he was from this universe and feeding us some bullshit, even though there is a multiverse. Like, I thought that
was the case too. Mm-hmm. But then I started trying to piece together how that would come about. So the only thought process I had is, okay, there's this new superhero around, and when he gets interrogated by Nick Fury and Maria Hill, he's just going to drop, oh, I'm just from a different reality. That seems like a weird thing for...
No, you're so right. This lines up. He's from a different reality, and he sees an opportunity.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, we both thought earlier that he was from 616, and that he was just pretending to be from another reality. I just don't think that would add up.
You and I should start calling the MCU 313.
313. That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all.
Vote it out. We're calling it 313 from now on. We both drink hot waters.
Yes. And clink.
So, I'm excited about this movie. I'm excited. We both love our Tommy Hollands.
Cheerio! I want to be the new Iron Man.
Tony Stark's gone, is he? Will I do my best to fill his shoes? I will.
Oh, I have to do your job, don't I?
Plagiarizing other bits, but we don't care.
Even in the trailer, I got choked up.
Yeah,
I got
same.
choked up.
Same.
But it's because I'm such a daddy issues fucking.
I get it.
Chump. Like,
yeah.
You know.
Let's bury it right down.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
It's very funny. So Liz was inconsolable at the end of Endgame. And she got sent the trailer from one of her friends, and one of her coworker friends was like, "Hey, you're gonna cry watching this." And she hadn't seen it by the time I got home. So she was like, "Oh, did you see the trailer?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, one of my friends said I was going to cry." And I was like, "You're not going to cry." And then we put on the trailer, and I remember that the first thing that shows up in the trailer is Peter looking at the mural of Iron Man. And I was like, yeah, no, you're probably going to cry.
And, like, I think, like, man, as much as I criticize trailers and promos and stuff, the first trailer I saw for Far From Home, like, neither of us were of this opinion, but, like, a lot of people online were like, duh, Far From Home is going to take place before the events of Infinity War. Like, by the way, I love both of us that never came up.
Yeah, it wasn't even a thought.
You know,
it's like, whatever. It's a Spider-Man story. I don't care when it happens.
Well, for me, I was like, no, he'll be okay. Whatever, kids.
Yeah.
Like, because
you have your fun.
Yeah. Well, I've been reading comics for a while. Like, I know that you can kill someone and they can come back.
Yeah.
And their death still lands.
Yep.
Like, because you have to work to get them back in this scenario.
100%.
You know, and also, if Nate was here, he'd back me up on this. Like, not for nothing, like, this happened in the comics. He did snap his fingers and everyone disappeared.
Exactly.
They had to fight their asses off and some shit went down. Anyways, but yeah, I'm so excited for Far From Home. I love that it's going to be emotionally relevant to what happened in Endgame, and it's going to be all of us. It's going to help us deal with the death of Tony Stark. Yeah, which I love. They recognize the audience needs.
Yeah, exactly. Like we need closure. Like the end of Endgame, it was all so fast. It happened. He was gone. We're at his funeral. We don't really have time to process it. Like, this one movie is going to be, I think, whereas Endgame was kind of entirely like an ode to Tony Stark, I think that this is going to wrap up his legacy really well.
Well, I just find myself, they just really got me, man. Like, I fucking drank the Kool-Aid so hard on this, and this event that occurred means so much to me. And I mean, they really did kind of brush off Iron Man from the shelves of obscurity and make him so relevant.
Yeah, they got rid of his nipples.
In the comics. You son of a bitch.
Hashtag give Iron Man nipples.
In the comics at the time, in 2008, they were doing the extremist thing.
Yeah.
At that time. And they were revamping the comics. We were building towards Civil War. I'm going to dust off Secret War so you can read that tonight. So you can have some idea of what we were building towards at that time. Secret War came out in 2006. 2 years later, Iron Man is going to make Marvel a household name. So in 2009, what's happening in the comics is the characters the comics are sensing what's about to happen because of
and preparing for it.
Yeah. And people are leaning into that Marvel concept of let's make our characters complex, let's make them, let's make audiences able to identify with them, and let's try to lean in on their quirks and, you know, all that type of crap. And I'm sorry to make it about comics, but like truly, what was also
I can't think of a safer place, buddy.
What was also fascinating about this was, as much as the movies were dusting off Iron Man and making him more relevant, the comics were too. Extremists became a thing. In Ultimates, you know, Iron Man, Thor, and Cap are in the center stage. Ultimates happens 3 years before we see an Iron Man film. I think 4 years, actually, excuse me. But, like, all of this stuff is happening. It's setting the stage for a guy who, like, way more than the X-Men, for the last 20 years has just been some billionaire in a suit, and Batman's way more interesting.
Yeah.
Into something that you can build a 12-year-long billion dollar film franchise on. Also, not for nothing, RDJ is a crusher.
Oh my goodness.
For life.
He nailed it
And
so hard.
And he gave us
right off the bat.
that I'm so grateful for. Exactly right off the bat. I'm telling you, I just watched, like, and brother, I am so grateful for you. Because you have turned me around so hard on Iron Man 2. It used to be my least favorite. It is probably my number 3 now.
Yeah, it's so good.
I've looked at it with fresh eyes because you convinced me to, and you were like, "Kill your darlings, dude. You got to just watch that movie for what it is." And it is. You're so right. It is so good, and it's not just Sam Rockwell, who is a crusher.
Yeah,
but like, it's just
it's everything about it. It's just so good.
It's such a good day in the life.
Yeah,
it's such a good day in the life, and it Iron Man 2, you guys, like, if you like, oh, Iron Man 1 was okay. I mean, Iron Man 1 was great. Iron Man 2, blah blah blah. Iron Man 3, he's not in the suit enough. No, Iron Man 2 is really good. Iron Man 2 is now we've established...
I'm going to tear up. Oh my God.
Iron Man 2 is now we've established the world, and like you have to live it.
Watch this guy live through it.
Yeah. And then Iron Man 3 is a man dealing with the fact that his reach might exceed his limitations.
Yes.
And then at the end of the movie, he finds like, oh no, my reach is pretty good.
Yeah. Turns out, actually.
Which also makes him so cool. Like, you know, this guy's superpower isn't just like the suits and stuff. It's that he thinks of everything.
Yeah.
He's a futurist. Like,
he has plans on plans on plans.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would give Batman a run for his money.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it.
I've long been a defender of Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing of Iron Man 3 is, like, after Happy gets hurt, that man does more detective work than Christian Bale does in all 3 Batman films.
Christian Bale does pull a slug out of a piece of brick and use sound.
Iron Man holographically rebuilds a crime scene, zooms in on some dog tags, finds their name, figures out the degree of which the explosion happens, scans the world to see where other explosions like that have happened, figures out how many times that have happened post the Mandarin's attacks, finds the one explosion where that happened pre the Mandarin, and then goes and inspects that town. So I'm sorry.
You're right. We'll call it even.
So, I mean, I'm like, especially post that movie, I like, you know, kill your darlings, people who got to go see Star Wars in 1976.
Just watch it. Just watch the thing and enjoy the thing. Like, you don't have to compare it to anything. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is. There are people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into making this thing. Nobody wants to make a shitty thing.
But Vince, it's got legs.
It's got so many legs. It's like a centipede.
It's got legs. People just, like, you came into it like wanting Iron Man.
Yeah.
The first one. And like it actually is better.
I would agree.
Yeah. And I don't think that's why Jon Favreau didn't do the third one. I think you needed a new director for the third one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Like, Favreau's great. I got no problems with the Favs.
Hundo.
But going back to just Endgame and this entire Iron Man / RDJ legacy, like, I am so grateful that I was this age and around for it. And it was like, you know, like, dude, we're going to be telling kids about this.
Definitely.
Like, you know, because they like...
I'll be making kids experience this. I don't plan on having kids. I'm going to find kids on the street and make them watch 400 hours of Marvel.
But it was such a dope, unique thing to live through phase 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
And be, age appropriate for it-ish. You know what I mean? We were in our late teens, and then 20s, and me 20s, and early
older
30s.
Yeah.
And it was, goddamn.
All right. So
we'll wrap it up. Let's get into
Well, I want to do one more thing at the end. I want to think about who the next big bad is. I don't think that we're going to get another.
I think I might have been right about this.
Who are you?
I was saying to you, they're going to do something we're not going to see. I was saying to you, it's not going to be one big bad. We did that with Thanos. I think Kevin Feige is too clever.
Okay.
To try to rinse and repeat. I think it will be hard to speculate until we see the Eternals.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree.
But we will be better off, especially you and I, once we see what this whole multiverse business really is.
But man, I really want it to be Doctor Doom. I really want it to be
How
Dr.
dare
Doom.
you plant that in my brain?
I really want it to be
Great.
Dr. Doom, dude.
Now, if this Dragon egg doesn't ever hatch, I'm putting that on you.
Goodness. I'll carry it into the pyre myself. All right, let's do homework.
You're the best.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, you go first because yours is kind of bullshitty because I last minuted it.
Yeah, so at the 11th hour, I was given...
just watch some Buffy.
Yeah, just watch some Buffy. So I watched some Buffy. I watched season 3, episode 1. That's what I watched. Anne is the name of the episode.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just sad for sad's sake.
Yeah.
And it didn't really show much character development.
It does a thing that Joss Whedon loves to do where there is this nice, unassuming, like, kind of nerdy guy
Yeah.
who, like, is not a threat.
Yep.
And then turns around and he's the worst evil demon on the face of the planet.
He wasn't the worst evil demon, though. He was, like, really bad at being a demon. So, okay. So, in this episode, Buffy's in L.A. She is working at a restaurant called, what is it called? Helen's Kitchen? Is that the name of the restaurant, or was that just a shop that you passed by?
It's like a diner.
Diner,
like a
yeah.
Dirty Spoon.
Right. Helen's Kitchen, fantastic naming. Really good.
Why?
Hell's Kitchen?
Oh.
Yeah.
Smarter than me.
More observant. So she's working here, and she's still trying to do good. I don't know if she's trying to do good or if she's just trying to live an unassuming life. Bullshit's happening back at Sunnydale.
They're trying to figure out how to Hellmouth without a Slayer.
Yeah. Not important.
Really? They're not doing cute stuff on mics with walkie-talkies yet?
No.
Oh, that gets cuter.
I'm excited to see it.
Oh, no.
Okay. There's a demon afoot who is capturing vagabonds and sending them to a work camp prison type thing.
It's a hell dimension.
Just like, okay, so but here's the thing. Here's my issue. It's going to be very ironic when I just told people to just watch a thing and enjoy it.
No, let's get into it.
Okay, so they get sent to this hell dimension, which is just like a foundry that creates industry. I don't know what it makes because that's never touched upon. They're just sent to work until they get old
enough and they spit them out.
Yeah, but like, what's the point? What are they making? Like, tell me that they're making something that will come into play later on. That like plant that seed, so that way later on you can grow it and be like, oh, that's what they were doing there.
Before TV was serialized.
I know, but like, dude,
I agree. No. All right, I agree. I don't want to belabor the point too much, but I do want to make clear that Vince is not nitpicking. Like, there is very much no. Like, I'm going to try to be as concise as possible. There's this guy who's basically like a Mormon, and he's handing out flyers on the street, and he's very nice, and he's talking to people, and he's like, come back to this church, and he brings them back to this church, and he throws you into this like portal thing,
this goo portal,
and there's this factory with these grotesque looking demons, and they put you to work, and it's very industrial, and like Vince is pointing out, never in the episode do they say what they're working for or anything like that. But basically what sucks about it is you're working there for 70 years and you're spit out basically in present day, like a day later than you were taken, but you're 70 years old.
Yeah.
And so that's like, Buffy...
But also, why not just work them to death?
I don't know. And you make it also another excellent point of, like, what are they working on?
Yeah,
I guess weird. Demons need weapon and demon...
Yeah.
You have to do all the work yourself.
Yeah. This was more of a Go Fish episode than it was a season 2 finale.
The point of the episode way more is, like, Buffy's in the wind and...
Yeah, that definitely came across.
Buffy's absence.
Yeah, that came across.
I
really like that Giles was, like... He had been constantly, like, on flights to different places where people think Buffy may have been, and he's just constantly looking for his Slayer. I really felt that.
This is the season where it starts to get shaky with, like, the Slayer Watcher line. Watchers wouldn't normally do that.
Gotcha.
That's not really...
their purview?
No.
Gotcha.
Slayers go missing all the time. You stay there, you wait for your Slayer to report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm still on board.
Don't get into it. No, I know. I just, I'm not defending that episode. Yeah. And, like...
It wasn't as bad as Go Fish.
No, I know it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, there is, like... I just want to seed that in.
Yeah.
Of, like, this is the season where we find out that Giles is not quite doing this the way he's supposed to.
Ooh, he's going rogue.
Definitely not to encourage her having friends or being a person or doing good in school.
She's a weapon.
Yeah.
Okay, I dig it.
We start to find out that Rupert is doing this his own way.
Can go your own way.
Go your own way. All right, so before we get into my proper homework.
Yes, let's talk about your extra homework.
I did a little bit of extra homework.
Extra super secret sexy homework.
So it was a rainy day yesterday.
Or as I call it, homework.
It was a rainy day yesterday and I was inside. And I seem to remember you mentioning the movie The Losers.
Yeah.
And how...
Oh my goodness, did you watch The Losers?
I did watch The Losers.
What?
Okay, so...
Let's talk about Losers.
Let's talk about Losers.
The one movie where you can see Batman's dad, the Human Torch, and Gamora fight.
Okay, well... Alright. So, if you were to tell me, Zach...
I love where this is going already.
There's this movie where there's this kick-ass kill squad that you follow along as they chase a super dirty CIA guy.
Yep.
Spy master.
Mm-hmm.
Who betrayed them in the beginning of the film. And Idris Elba gives the worst performance. I would slap you in the face. What is happening there? Okay, so I don't want to set the table too much. Guys, watch Losers.
It's
I'm not
so
going to set the table. I'm not going to set the table too much. It's not so good.
It's
not
super
so
good.
It is watching a series of video game cutscenes.
100%. Oh yeah, definitely.
And the only people who
oh my goodness.
No. Yeah.
Go ahead.
The only people who know what movie they're in are Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans knows 100%.
He's crushing. He's the only reason to watch that movie. No, he's the only reason to watch that movie. He is so funny. He's bad at hitting on girls. He does a weird Clint Eastwood thing. It is a tour de force of interesting choices. And he's the only one on set who knows what movie this is in, knows how hard to try, and, like, he's the only one. He's the only one. Otherwise, it is a completely tone-deaf movie that is so typical that you would love.
It's so good!
So typical.
Dude!
Okay, so the person second to Chris Evans who knows what movie they're in... Oh no, her name is escaping me. What's Gamora's real name?
Zoe Saldana?
Zoe Saldana knows what movie she's in.
Yeah.
She's
a femme fatale.
Yeah.
And she's gonna go out there and make her way.
So, where Chris Evans is hamming it up,
yeah,
she is eating up the scenery.
Chewing it.
She should be.
Yeah.
That's what movie she's in.
Darn right.
And Jeffrey Dean Morgan, number 3 on I Know What I'm Doing Here, is being ultra cool.
It's the coolest dad you never had.
He's smoother than cream. Like it works in every scene. And then there's this bad guy whose performance.
You didn't like the bad guy's performance?
No, he was limited by. No, I didn't, and I don't think he was written very well.
No, that's the point.
It's not the
that's
way
the
I
wonder.
that.
That's the wonderful thing about it is he's bad for bad's sake. Mm-hmm. He just does the wrong thing. You could point this guy 99% towards good, and he will flip it and reverse it like Missy Elliott, and just do the worst thing in the world.
A brown hand. Boy, oh boy. The budget constraints in that movie
were so obvious.
The product that we... Well, okay, no. The budget constraints in that movie and the product that we got is a testament to the people who worked on that film.
Yeah.
Because
it
is a fun romp. I just cannot lie. It's a fun romp.
Goodness,
but I
so
cannot stress enough how flat and dead Idris Elba is and how little...
Have you seen The Wire?
He is recognized. Yeah.
He's playing
his
character from The Wire.
Yes.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what movie he's in.
Yeah.
He has no idea what movie he's in. And it is glaring.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, that's part of what makes it fun. Like, Chris Evans wouldn't be able to do the stuff he does if he didn't have the straight man of Idris Elba.
Part of what made it... No, you're giving this too much credit.
You're giving it enough credit.
You're calling it straight man.
Losers as a cinematic masterpiece.
You're calling it straight
along
man.
The lines of Iron Man 2.
You're calling it straight... No. This isn't on that level. This isn't... You don't get to I pat you on the back for Iron Man 2. You don't get to invoke that for losers. All right.
You just need to watch it more, man. You just need to watch it more.
I might watch that 2 more times in my life.
Oh my goodness, it's so good.
There's no nuance to it whatsoever. It's not apologetic for that.
No,
it knows that it has no nuance.
The CIA did stuff to my mind.
That scene is like
so
he's the only one who knows, man.
Yeah.
He's the only one who read that script and was like, I get this. This will be fun.
100%. Yeah.
And maybe Jeffrey D. Morgan, but I think Jeffrey D. Morgan was like, I'm gonna look cool as hell in this movie.
Yeah.
All right, so that's my bonus homework. Let's get to my actual homework.
Yes. So your actual homework, I gave you Superior Foes of Spider-Man.
Oh, I just read Superior Spider-Man.
That's fine. You can read Superior Foes this week.
We'll see, because I'm really into Superior Spider-Man.
The entirety of it is on there. So.
What's the inciting incident? How did this body switch happen? I didn't look this up because I wanted you to tell me.
No worries. So in The Amazing Spider-Man, at the end of its reign, when Dan Slott was preparing to take over, Peter Parker is investigating something happening with Doc Ock. And Doc Ock has realized that his body is giving up to the point where he will die. So he creates this machine in order to switch bodies, and he lures Spider-Man to him in order to have this happen. And there's incidents and... I love you. I love you so much. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm Jace. I'm the fastest person in the universe. Whatever, it's fine. Raccoon.
So I really thought it might have been some weird... I didn't know what to think, but I thought it might have been some weird magic thing where neither of them knew.
Nope. 100% planned by Doc Ock. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So you've read Superior.
I thought I was going to grade against this. I thought it was going to be too gimmicky.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this ain't your mama, Spider-Man. No, it's rather earned. It's Dan Slott,
So when this series first came out, when this arc or whatever came out, the amount of fan backlash of like people just saying Dan Slott hates Spider-Man, he doesn't know how to write Spider-Man, like this is the wrong turn. I just want to show them the completed project and just everything's okay. Everything about this has been fought for and earned.
Well, this is here's the thing about it is number one, Peter Parker's there. Okay, so like there's this Peter Parker's in this book.
Yeah.
At all times.
Yeah.
Fighting.
Always fighting because that's what Peter Parker does.
But then interesting other side of that coin is Otto being Otto, but also keeping up appearances and starting to see, for now, I'm going to say the appeal in being Spider-Man. You know, when he saves people, they thank him.
Well, no. So that actually stems from during the transfer of minds. When after Peter, or as Peter is dying, he recognizes what has happened, and he knows that if he can't be Spider-Man anymore, there has to be one. So with his dying breath, he tells Otto, with great power comes great responsibility. And Peter's spirit continues to live on in his body, and it kind of plagues Doc Ock throughout the entire series.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Have you gotten to, how far have you gone? You're on book 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Never mind then.
Like, tonight I was rereading the Avengers, figuring out what the hell's going on.
Okay. There's going to be a period of time where you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about right now, and I want you to call me.
Okay.
Because there's a point, this series has a darkest hour. And when that happens, I want you to let me know.
Well, like, there have just been interesting dynamics. I don't want to set the table too much. I'm going to just footnote it.
Yeah.
The in book 1, it's really Doc trying on Pete's pants, and you know he goes out with MJ, which is a very visceral experience for us, the readers, and then ultimately decides not to pursue that, which is quite a relief. He's fighting crime and all that kind of stuff, and he's figuring out how to be Peter Parker. And that compromise is fascinating to me. Like, it's because
I always felt that he was kind of doing it out of spite. Like, I
won't
just be Spider-Man. I will be a superior Spider-Man.
The spite's there, but he's driven by his goals. And
I agree.
He's plagued by his ego.
Yes.
So one of his goals, to fulfill this objective, he has to keep up appearances. And that's going to come with certain symptoms. Mm-hmm. Like understanding like why Pete does what he does and all that kind of stuff. And that's what Dan Slott is doing, is this very fascinating re-examination of Peter Parker. Except the audience isn't re-examining him. Otto is.
Yeah.
And that's really, it makes for a really interesting read.
It's a dissection of Peter Parker.
Yeah, but not to mention, it's also a dissection of Otto, and it's this birth of a new character.
Yeah.
Who is an echo of both these characters. And it's also happening while we're experiencing Otto's memories. Peter reacting to Otto's memories. Because Peter's spirit is there Obi-Wan-like. And sometimes Otto's directly reacting to it, and other times Otto is consciously kind of not even acknowledging it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And consciously, I'm kind of throwing in there.
I got you.
The book implies that.
Have you gotten? So
I'm telling you, the last thing I read was Wolverine saying, "Let's go get him."
Yeah, no, that's fine. When I was reading this series, it almost feels like a flipped version of The Killing Joke. Like, instead of it being one bad day, it's a series of good days.
Sort of. I think that this is much more ambitious and much more rewarding than The Killing Joke. And I think it's much more in-depth. And gosh darn it, why I read Marvel Comics. It's let's take this apart and see where it goes. And it's why Dan Slott is a crusher.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't read... Have you ever read the Annihilation series?
I've not. Like Annihilation Wave with...
I gotta get that in your hands.
I think I have it on my Comixology. I still don't think I've read it.
I have it on my... I can share that with you easily. That was kind of my first experience with him, because that was happening during my new renaissance of comic reading in my early 20s.
Don't call it a comeback.
That stuff was so compelling, and I didn't know anything about Peter Quill or Richard Rider or any of the intergalactic Marvel stuff. I really didn't know anything about it, but it let you in, and it wasn't, and it was truly Dan Slott, man, and it wasn't that I repelled, like was revolted by the concept. It's just like, even when you were like, you should read this, I was like, oh, all right, it seems gimmicky. And the thing is, some things are gimmicky, but then if you put the work in, it's worth it. It's what makes it a good gimmick.
Yeah, I agree. Just go into it wholeheartedly, and
it's a very fascinating book. I've been reading it a lot. I look forward to continuing to talk about this with you. Like, yeah, you can give me other homework.
It only gets better.
Yeah, you can give me other homework, but be prepared to talk about this and maybe even make it a segment.
By all means.
Like, we should talk about this book.
Sure
it's
thing.
Really good.
Yeah.
And as a guy who is like a diehard Marvel fan, like this, like, again, you gave me a comic that I love, and you knocked it out of the park.
Glad to hear it.
And I gave you a show that was so-so, so we both are doing okay.
I like Buffy. It was just an episode that was so-so.
I know. I'm going to go up in my. I'll do it tomorrow. You got to read Secret War. So I'm going to make your homework this week. Okay. You put Secret War in your hand. For the listener, the Brian Michael Bendis, early 2000s. I can't remember exactly when Secret War. It's pre-Civil War, pre-Secret Invasion.
Yep, I got you. Well, since you are already reading Superior Spider-Man, your homework this week is to read Superior Foes of Spider-Man.
Okay.
Will
it fly? It won't put me too ahead, will it?
I don't believe so. I'll check and see exactly where it falls, like when which volume.
Now, baby, I don't want to get.
Yeah, no worries. But it's a side story. Like it's just a side story.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'll jump on it.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's written by Nick Spencer, and goodness.
Yeah, I'm reading the Dan Slott stuff now.
Yeah, it's real good.
I didn't re-listen to our episode. I just was like, I'm supposed to read Superior Spider-Man, so I just...
Yeah, sure. That's fine by me.
And honestly, like I said to you pre-mic, like...
I was kind of... like I
read
wanted
3 of them, and then I was like, we're going to record tonight. I'm going to reread, and I reread 2 of them.
Yeah. Like, I wanted to give you Superior Foes of Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man in general, but it seemed like a lot to just sort of throw at you.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to see how you reacted to Superior Foes, because I just have the 1 volume that I wanted you to check out. But now that I'm hearing that you're into it,
Serendipity stepped in. This was the best place for me to start, was like sort of at the beginning. I'm not that much of a completist, but I think if I'd have just jumped into the water at Superior Foes, I needed to get inundated a little bit, and I need to understand the not just deconstruction, but reconstruction that was happening. And again, like, that is the thing that is so fascinating to me about this book, is that it is truly doing both those things.
Yeah.
Like, there's a new guy we are learning about while we deconstruct these other 2 guys.
Yeah, and I love that, like...
From a writing standpoint, that is so impressive.
Yeah, and not to mention, Superior Spider-Man has become such a character that, like, in the Spider-Verse crossover comic... Superior Spider-Man is a major player. Like, he is the guy who Peter seeks out, and like they have a butting of heads because their philosophies are different, and it's just organic and beautiful, and I love it.
It's so fascinating. That's why you should read Marvel Comics. So nerdy things we did this week. Yeah. So my second season of my D&D campaign came to an end. There were 2 character deaths that hit pretty hard. But I think that the group will grow stronger because of it. And, I mean, it's the second one. It has to end on a downer. This is the way it is. This was their Empire moment. Mm-hmm. It was really good. On top of that, I started... plotting out a writing thing. And I did one more nerdy thing this week that I cannot remember. Comic's good. We're sort of slowing down. Me and my significant other are looking into buying a house. So when it comes to pages and everything like that, we're trying to limit down so I can sort of put it into my budget of me money. Right.
But still coming along.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you, buddy?
So, like, I already talked about it a lot, but, like, I had a really deep dive in Marvel movies. Like, other takeaways I'd like to mention is I never really caught in Civil War that when there's the Bucky reprogramming scene.
Right.
And Pierce comes in.
Yep.
And Bucky is saying, that guy, I knew him. And then Pierce repeats his mission. This is what you have to do now. And then, I really never caught this before. As Bucky swallows and looks at Pierce, and his eyes start to tear up, and he says, but I knew him. And that's when they're like, wipe him.
Yep. Scrub him clean.
You know Ed Brubaker is in that scene?
I did not.
Yeah, he's the scientist with the shaved head and the bow tie.
Huh.
Yeah. He's behind the lead scientist looking nervous.
Nice.
Because writers are not good actors.
As a writer, I can attest.
The other takeaways, the Endgame thing I mentioned, I guess that's it. Civil War is such a good... I'm sorry. Winter Soldier is such a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love it so much.
Yeah, it's good as not a superhero movie. Like it's just a good movie. Like that's the movie that people should put up with, like The Dark Knight. Like it's in the superhero genre, but barely.
And it's also it scratches my like espionage itch hardcore, especially once they're at the New Jersey like fort. And there's like Cold War stuff in the base.
Arnold Zola coming on the screen.
God, they gotta bring that back. Give me a robot body with a face in the stomach. Bring it back! I'm a big Captain America fan. That's what Arnold Zola looks like in the comics.
My last nerdy thing was I started reading Afterlife with Archie.
What's that?
It's Archie, but zombies.
Is Afterlife a thing that I should know of?
No. It's just the name of the arc. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's really good.
Weirdo.
It's really good, dude.
You're so weird.
They bring in Sabrina.
Well, I'm not impressed. They brought in Sabrina for the Predator one.
Yeah,
as
but
far as I know, they always bring in Sabrina.
It's really
That was
good.
my experience with Archie.
Riverdale's right next to Greendale. And there's a swamp, inexplicably. It's so good.
You know, buddy, that was it for me. I'm like, last week, I don't know if I got to say this on pod, so obsessed with spy movies. I was watching spy movies left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Which will lead me into your homework assignment. But the huge run of spy movies that led me on somehow bled into me watching Hunt for Red October for the first time. Now, have you ever seen Hunt for Red October?
Yeah.
Okay.
Watched it on VHS back when I was in middle school.
Yeah, we were meant to do this together.
Goodness, man.
This podcast is proof of destiny. So there's this line where he's talking to Sam Neill that I became obsessed with. I called my fiancée into the room to make her watch it to see how she reacted. So he's talking to Sam Neill, and they're talking about this very precarious plan that they have.
Yep.
And because they're defecting, and there's other stuff going on, but for the purposes of this conversation, let's just say they're defecting, and they're talking about, I mean, it's a thin line they're walking on, being able to do this correctly.
Yep.
And Sean Connery is expressing to Sam Neill how this plan could go about correctly. Now, Sam Neill, wonderful actor from New Zealand, doing a great Russian accent. Sean Connery, not trying remotely.
Well, I mean, he already has that thick Russian accent.
Vince, I'm trying to talk to you about Hunt for Red October. You gotta take this seriously.
I'm sorry. Yes.
So
Mr. Neal, we're on a submarine.
Oh, wait, because I'm gonna... Oh.
All right, go for it.
We can't overload our listeners with this, because I got one locked and ready to go. So they're talking
Zach and Vince's Connery Corner.
So they're talking about this plan, and Sam Neill is like, how is this going to work? And Connery says, well, with the right American, this very much could work. Now, if we get some buckaroo. And I rewinded it 4 times.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not putting any stank on that. I'm not putting any English on it. This man looks basically into the barrel of the camera and he says, buckaroo. I was obsessed with it. And I was like, I'm going to say Buckaroo on the podcast. But that was it. That wraps up my nerdy things we did this week. All right.
I have a couple of plugs before we go into the finale.
Pluggy.
So, friend of the show, Nate, he has just recorded his last episode covering the Sandman series on his podcast, Dried Up Brain.
It was really, really good.
He's actually started another podcast with another friend of mine, Josh. It's called A Cowardly and Superstitious Pod, and they
talk about Batman.
They talk about Gotham.
Ooh,
yeah. Nate famously loves Gotham. Josh famously does not. So
that sounds like a good show.
It's pretty good. The first 3 episodes, I believe, are out. It's a fun listen.
You got to try to talk us into that show.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. The thing about it is Josh just moved away to further his career. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe we could Skype him in or something like that.
No,
do something fun.
Field trip, me and you.
Oh yeah. Head up to New York. But it's a very fun listen. And also, I haven't been plugging the Twitter. So at nerdy_pod. Follow us.
Oh yeah.
If you're listening.
Oh yeah, I have ideas for that too.
Sure. But Zach,
I have no plugs. But seriously, other than saying Dried Up Brain is really good.
It's really.
You really should listen to it, especially listeners, dear listeners. If you've read Sandman, just listen to the Sandman eps. They crush. Like they're. If you can put up with me and Vince talking, listen to that show because they're vaguely professional.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So what's your homework for me?
Superior Foes of Spider-Man.
Oh, Superior Foes.
Yeah.
That's right. And I was going to give you secret, but okay. I might change your homework.
That's fine.
Do you have stars?
I can get stars.
All right. I really want you to watch Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but there's 2 versions. You need to watch the newer one.
The newer one.
Yeah. Don't watch the 70s one. It's good, but that's not the one I want to talk about. Is that the one with
Tom Hanks?
No, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
No, I'm thinking of Bridge of Spies.
Yeah. It's all British.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm on board.
You know the British actors?
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally, it's the 10 you know. Like,
gotcha.
John Hurt's in there, Benny Combs, Tom Hardy, you know the British actors?
Yeah, I gotcha.
That
Say
guy
no more.
who plays Arnim Zola.
Sean Connery, we all know.
No, he's Scottish and
He's a Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, buckaroo.
You know what's fun to do as Sean Connery?
Everything?
Just list toys you like. Legos.
Yo-yos.
No, it's very specific. Sega Genesis.
Bop it. Yeah, you're right. It's very fun. Now I want to bop it with Sean Connery's voice. Twist it. Pull it. Woo.
Erase that. We got to look into it.
Yeah, exactly. It's TM'd. It's TM'd.
We mailed it to ourselves.
Zach, we have to end this episode.
We got to end this episode, and we end this episode the way we do every week. You and I try to hum the right tone to open up a portal to the multiverse.
Vince, come on!